Got a trio of NFL news stories to dive into here on Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. 49ers wide receiver drama is back after a relatively quiet offseason. That is back in the headlines. Quinshon Judkins got arrested over the weekend. We're going to discuss that as well. What is his legal status? Plus, an emerging storyline for fans of all NFL teams to keep an eye on as training camps get going here in the month of July. All right, folks, we're trying to get to 11,000 subscribers. We're just over 500 away. I would love to get there by, let's call it NFL preseason week 1. Not the Hall of Fame game later this month, although that would be fantastic. If we could get there by the first preseason week, that would be awesome. Help a brother out. Hit the subscribe button. Daily NFL and college football videos. Okay, let's start with Jauan Jennings. Last offseason was the offseason of Brandon Ayuk drama in San Francisco, and while it's been a relatively drama-free offseason for the 49ers, other than, are they going to pay Brock Purdy or are they not? Brandon Ayuk sent out a couple of cryptic messages on social media, but nothing crazy, nothing compared to last year. Well, Jauan Jennings yesterday comes out and through Adam Schefter and says, yeah, I either want a pay raise or I want you to trade me. He's set to make $7.5 million this year. Certainly outperformed that contract last year. So now he wants a new deal. And here we go again, 49ers fans, as they're just trying to get back off the mat after a disappointing year in 2024 in which they won just 6 games. The season kind of fell off the rails. But one guy who performed consistently was Jauan Jennings. I certainly do not blame him for wanting a pay raise from $7.5 million because last year he outperformed that. But we also have to look at the full picture. Through his 4-year career, he has not been what he was last year. So I do think this is one of those tricky ones for San Francisco to try and navigate over the next few days, weeks, and however long this thing potentially drags out, especially when you factor this in. This account, 49ers and NFL News, get some pretty good scoops when it comes to the 49ers, and they're saying that a source tells them that Jennings wants $15 to $17.5 million per year. So essentially at least more than double his current contract, if not a little bit more. Cooper Kupp, Jerry Jeudy money. Now, Cooper Kupp, Jauan Jennings, I think you could debate who you would rather have at this stage of their careers. Jennings and Kupp are both excellent blockers. Neither is going to separate a ton. Jennings probably a better contested catch guy, but Kupp with more pedigree. I think Jerry Jeudy out of these three is the best of them. So I that's a bit of a tough sell to me with how Jeudy performed last year. He's actually probably underpaid. I think this is a bit tricky for San Francisco because he was a role player and not even a high volume role player before last year. So was 2024, is that kind of the standard, the expectation moving forward? Is he let's even call it just an 800-plus yard guy moving forward? Or was that a result of Brandon Ayuk got hurt and Deebo Samuel kind of fell off and someone had to get the targets and make plays? Or is he just like a legit number 2 receiver moving forward? Because obviously this year, that's kind of what I project him to be. Brandon Ayuk, who's still rehabbing that knee injury, we don't know his timetable. Ricky Pearsall, is he ready for a major role? I think he'll have a notable role, but I don't know if, we're sitting here saying, yeah, Pearsall is going to have 1,200 yards this year. That seems like a tough sell. So I do think Jennings has some leverage here, but does he have leverage to add $10 million per year to his contract? That might be a stretch. I think more like 12, 13 to 15. Like if you told me 2 for 30 on an extension, 2 for 28 with, 20 guaranteed, I could buy that. I think that would be fair for everyone involved. Like I look at a guy like Darnell Mooney, who makes $13 million per year with Atlanta, had almost 1,000 yards last year. Different type of player, but would you rather have Darnell Mooney or Jauan Jennings? I think it could be debated, but Mooney's been more productive in his career. He makes 13 a year. Like, is Jauan Jennings worth 17 and a half? Like, is he as good as Jerry Jeudy? I would say probably not. So 12 to 15 per year on a 2-year extension, I think is something I would do. If he wants more than that, I'd probably just play this out and see how he responds. But once again, the 49ers stuck with the potential wide receiver contract dilemma as training camp is upon us. What will the 49ers do with Jauan Jennings? Do you think they'll pay him, type P for paid, or do you think they'll trade him, type T for trade? They can obviously just wait it out and see how that avenue goes. But, he feels like he's got a little bit of a play here, and we'll see how the 49ers react to it. Okay, Quinshon Judkins has not been a great few days for Browns fans as he's being accused of domestic violence. He was arrested. There's a police report out there that has some pretty disturbing information from the accuser. Tom Pelissero tweeted out a couple screenshots of the report, but also described some of the stuff in there that the accuser told police he punched her with a closed fist in the chin lip area, later struck her in the left arm and thigh while they were in the car leaving the airport on July 7th. This was in Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, in these situations, it's not my job to be judge, jury, executioner. Like, we got to let the legal situation play out. Once that happens, we can all have hardcore opinions, but don't know, wasn't there. Obviously, all these matters should and are to be taken seriously. If you're a Browns fan, though, you're like, man, can we catch a break? This guy, to my knowledge, had no red flags coming out of college. 2 years at Ole Miss, 1 year at Ohio State. And before training camp even gets here, he gets hit with the domestic violence accusation. It's like, Jesus, man. Like, I actually have to include this tweet because not to make light of the situation, but I thought this guy put it well. Had no priors, no character issues, was always talked about as the good guy in the community. The franchise is cursed and rotten. If the Rams drafted him, he would have been at church. And I'm not trying to chuckle at the situation because domestic violence is very serious. And, if something did occur, thoughts are with the accuser, obviously. But it does just feel like some teams are snake bitten. It does make you, as a fan of a certain team, like if you just can't catch a break, it's like, golly, if this guy goes to the Eagles, the Rams, the Chiefs, like he's probably a grade A student, if you will. Now, again, who knows how this will play out? I did read that she's not seeking a civil suit up to this point. She wants prosecution. She wants a charge. So, would that lead one to believe that this is a more serious accusation and not potentially some kind of financial gain? Who knows? Again, I'm not there, don't know what the situation is, only know what information is out there and what's being alleged, but not ideal for the Browns, who I think are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. Okay, an emerging storyline, which actually would impact Judkins because he remains unsigned, is these second-round picks, and this has been a storyline for about a month now, I would say. Tre Harris says the Chargers were the first team to have rookies report to training camp since they're in the Hall of Fame game on July 31st. They got to start training camp earlier. He's officially a holdout. He did not report as second-round picks are seeking fully guaranteed deals. Rappaport had the news that Harris is officially a holdout. 30 of 32 second-round picks remain unsigned because of a disagreement over guaranteed money. Harris is the first one to make an official stand. Other teams, rookies, report to training camp later this week, early next week. So we'll potentially see more of these for these second rounders. And why second rounders? Well, Jaden Higgins with the Texans and Carson Schweizinger with the Browns are the only two second-round rookies to sign. And they signed fully guaranteed contracts. So I think what's happening here is Nick Caserio and Andrew Berry pissed off the rest of the league, the GM of the Texans and the Browns, because second-round picks had never gotten fully guaranteed contracts before now. And so these teams, I think, are wrestling with their kind of salary cap principles and yada, yada, yada. And a lot of these second-rounders historically have gotten 2 years fully guaranteed, and then the last 2 years are not. Well, I think those days are over. I think what you're going to have to do is maybe not every second-round pick gets a fully guaranteed deal. If you're picked in the 50s or the 60s, maybe you don't get all 4 years, but maybe the top 40 do. I don't know where that line is drawn, but I think what's you're going to see happen is a compromise for a lot of these guys is they're going to get at least 3 of the 4 years fully guaranteed. And quite frankly, I don't think that's some huge loss for these teams. Second-round picks are not breaking your salary cap. And by the way, the fourth year, if they performed a certain levels, escalators kick in, you would want that year to end up being guaranteed anyway if that happens, because that means he's performed at a certain level. So I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some fully guaranteed deals. You're going to see some 3+1s, but I think the 2+2 days are over. If you're the 34th pick and historically you're getting 2 years guaranteed and 2 years not, whereas the 30th pick gets fully guaranteed. Like they're just these agents aren't going to agree to that anymore. So we'll see what the compromise ends up being for these other 30 players. Could depend on draft slot, could depend on a variety of factors. Could depend on if you're a certain player and you're like, hey, I don't want to miss training camp time because I have a legitimate chance to start at a key position. Maybe you just accept a non-fully guaranteed deal. But yeah, I mean, we're here. Like training camps are here. They get going really full throttle next week, and only 2 of 32 second-round picks have signed. So this is going to be a storyline over the next, I'd say, 3 to 10 days across the league to see if some of these guys get their deals done. All right, that's going to do it for today's NFL News Roundup on 4 Verts. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, NFL, college football content every single day. We are on the road to 11,000 subscribers. Appreciate your love and support. See you guys soon.